I know, he told me
Back
yes,
again?
he's
It's
going
very
back.
nice to be back again. Yeah, especially being able to come towards the
Yeah.
start of the session.
I
I've got
forgot
that
when they handed me a
session
bill,
buzz.
what it was. Then I remembered, he did tell me. Okay, we are live. All right, we are live, and this is Senate Finance. And this is February 1st. All right, and we're first here to meet with Erica McKellar.
Yeah.
All right, from NCSL, and you are our liaison, so I'm Ann Cummings, welcome. And maybe committee, we can go around and introduce ourselves. We'll start with Senator Brock. Well, Senator Brock's chewing, maybe we'll start with Senator McCormick.
I'm Dick McCormick, I represent the Windsor Kansas Senate.
Yes.
I'm Chris Bray. I represent Addison.
Keisha Ronkinsdale, Chittenden County.
Thomas Chittenden, Chittenden County.
And we met before Randy brought Franklin and part of Grand Isle counties.
And I don't know if Senator McDonald will be back. He had to take a driving test today. You now have to go to Colchester to take it. So. So welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for taking the time. I know it's a very busy time of year, so I won't take up too much of your time, but I'm Erica McKellar. I'm with NCSL, and I work in our fiscal affairs program around state fiscal conditions and state budget process issues. I've been there 11 years in March, so quite a long time. It feels like a long time. And I also am lucky enough to get to be NCSL's liaison to the Vermont legislature, and I see a lot of familiar faces. I know I've met many of you over the years, so I think you're probably fairly familiar with what we do. I can go through some of our services and stuff if that would be helpful, or I can skip it if you guys are busy. What works best for you?
Just a brief reminder of what you do. NCOIL was in this week, so this is our week to meet national groups that we work with.
Yeah, so we are a bipartisan organization that is really dedicated to strengthening the legislative institution, working with legislators and legislative staff and helping support the important work that you do. We try to do that through a variety of ways. We offer, we have a training program that does different trainings. I understand there were a few trainings that a couple of my colleagues came to do earlier this year, so I hope that those were
Yes, we did
successful.
do a chairs training.
Yeah, and so we have a variety of trainings we offer around sort of interacting with lobbyists, and we can do caucus chairs, retreats, things like that. We can kind of do a variety of different things around trainings. And then we also do a lot of research. We try to publish a lot of reports and briefs around issues that are topical, just so you can kind of keep on top of what's happening in the states. We have a lot of newsletters that you can sign up for, issue area specific newsletters on our website, and I'm happy to help point you to that if that would be helpful. We also have an online magazine that I hope is topical and helpful for everybody. And so those are sort of the research publications that we put out. We also do over 100 meetings a year. A lot of them are small kind of issue specific meetings. But we also have our large annual meeting, that's our legislative summit. And that brings together thousands of legislators and legislative staff each year to kind of talk about ideas. And that this year will be in Indianapolis, August 15th through 16th. And hope some of you will be able to attend.
I was saying,
Indianapolis, yeah. I have some little cards if you want to save the dates, but I'm sure you'll be getting some emails about it soon. But yeah, we're sorry.
Sorry, is this your winter meeting or we're talking about next summer?
It will be in August.
that's the big annual.
Yeah, we have like concurrent track programming, and then some big plenary venue speakers and some fun social events. So it's always a good time and hopefully a good opportunity to kind of share and learn. So hopefully some of you can attend that. Issue area specific small meetings. So if there's a topic you're particularly interested in and you want to know when meetings are coming up around it, please feel free to reach out to me. I think hopefully one of the most valuable pieces that we do are research requests. We have issue area experts around a number of different policies. And I'm happy to kind of be your go-between between any of them. I do have some printed lists that are very long of like our A to Z list with topics and who covers what. So you're always free to reach out to anybody directly. But I'm happy to be your liaison, be your person to, we hope the liaison program is really designed to give you a point person so that you don't have to go through everything. You don't have to try to figure out where everything is. So please always feel free to reach out to me. We like to think of ourselves as an extension of your legislative staff, so we're happy to do any research on your behalf and kind of anything that we can do to help support the work that you do.
I add that I've used NCSL's research on a number of occasions. In fact, one of them came back to your committee.
Yes.
In the past, and they do excellent work and they're fast. They're really fast and responsive. So I've been very, very pleased.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that it's been helpful. Try to be fast. Sessions are short, things move quick. So yeah, and just let us know your deadline and we'll do our best to get you anything that you need.
I think legislative council here uses NCSL funding as well.
Yeah.
You put in a draft request and the drafter doesn't know as much about it as they might if they could.
Yeah, we subscribe to a service that we then provide to you where you can search bills in different states and we can search and compile bills around different topics. So you can see what might have been introduced around a topic you might be interested in or how it might have been drafted in a different legislature. So, and we are unique in that legislative staff are part of our organization. So we work a lot with them. I staff the Legislative Fiscal Offices Professional Staff Association. So I work closely with Catherine and her staff. So yeah.
But I'm excellent fiscal leader. Sessions.
Thanks. Yeah.
2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
It's very helpful.
Mandy, my director, is kind of in charge of those, and I think she's a great meeting planner, and she's great at picking up, I think, on some of the top fiscal issues that people are interested in. So I'll definitely let her know.
Yeah.
Well, I also just want to, ask you if there are things we can be doing better to support your work. If you have questions or research requests that you'd like me to take back with me, happy to do that.
I think, I went to the one of the national conferences. I went to a couple. Then the crash hit in the early 2000s and the money wasn't there for anybody to go. And I've gone back to the smaller ones. I haven't been back to the big national conference. But I know you have committees. I was told by a person I knew from NCOIL that you had started an insurance committee. How does a legislator find out, get on? How do you get your name in the running to be on the committee? How does that system work?
Yeah, good question. So it works a couple of different ways. You can let me know if there are committees that you're interested in, and they're listed on our website, so you can kind of take a look, read a little bit about them. I think the insurance one is bundled into some other topics, so
Okay.
I can put you in touch with the staff so they can tell you what more specifically the committee's been sort of digging into recently. But if you're interested, just kind of let us know, and then you just need approval from the Senate President Pro Tem to participate.
Oh, this Vice President Pro Tem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they do a lot of work shaping kind of our policies around lobbying the federal government on behalf of the states. Is kind of a big role that
Another
they
thing you do.
Yes, that is another thing we'll do.
And I assume NCOIL still has representatives in DC, probably.
But yeah, we
Legislation and lobby in the states.
yeah, our main office is in Denver. We have about 145 people there. And we work a lot on the state legislative issues, and then we have a smaller office in DC that works. The committees have a staff person from DC and a staff person from Denver that work together, since a lot of it's kind of federal state relations. And then the DC folks kind of, keep abreast of things in Congress and, lobby members on behalf of the states around those policies that the committees kind of vote on and approve, so. And those get approved at our big annual meeting.
Do you have a card or contact information?
I forgot my business cards on my table, so I apologize.
Can you email those to Jill to
Yes.
get them out to us?
I can do that, I
So
apologize.
I know how to contact you to tell you I want to be on the insurance.
Yes, I can do that.
I'm impressed you still have business.
I do. We have business cards and I know exactly where they are sitting on my
Yeah.
table. I'm so sorry.
The only time I've used mine is when we went to Taiwan and everybody in Taiwan exchanged cards. And I had to go print some up because it took me 10 years to go through the first box that was that long and I never saw a reason to reorder it.
Almost like a ceremony.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, oh, it is, it very much is,
Both hands.
exchanging, yeah, exchanging of cards and gifts. It was a learning experience, it was really interesting. But, yeah, we just, at least in Vermont, business cards don't.
Attending the NCSO conference in August of whatever year it was in Indianapolis, I had the pleasure of watching Dick and Dolly Maza doing a real good late 40s, mid 50s style Lindy to the Beach Boys on the street. There was a
On the street.
there was a street concert.
Do you keep demographic information about state legislators across the country?
We do, yeah.
Age and, you know, just like, that's always an evolve, especially age. I'm very curious about, you know, just knowing what the mix is of different demographics.
Yes, we do. We have a Center on Legislative Strengthening that follows a lot of that.
Legislative what?
Strengthening. So they're sort of a program dedicated to kind of the rules and institutions and following some of those trends and things like that. So I will put you in touch with
Are
them.
you doing dress codes? Apparently Florida has now come up with a dress code.
Well, we have one, just to be fair.
I'm not gonna let my shoulders show.
I'm not either, but that has more to do with age.
So far, I'm wearing shorts every once in a while, so that's good so far.
Listen,
That is the
Jack,
beauty of being on Zoom.
Right.
Gabby Shepherd is gonna look into this, but I'd be curious, just off the top of your head, timeshares, and that's come up recently that if I go to a timeshare in Nevada and I buy into it with some property ownership, that they give me effectively these points that can be used all over the world. If those points are used in the state of Vermont, should or does a meals tax apply, a rooms tax apply? Have other states wrestled with that, or are these point systems in a way evading otherwise collected sales and meals and rooms taxes?
it came up yesterday. We're finding out that our timeshares have almost no resale value. They're just becoming passé, but buildings around here, many of them are being bought up by this new form where you buy in and you buy points and that's a national phenomena, and I'm wondering if anybody has looked into that. We're checking on it.
That was a great question, and I think that we have not looked into that yet. But my colleague who handles a lot of our tax work, I'm sure will be intrigued by this question and will absolutely get you some info on it.
Yeah, there's several different national organizations out there.
Isn't really from this committee, although I suppose many of us would be interested. I don't know if the Government Operations Committee has talked to you about legislative pay and all that kind of stuff while you've been in town this time. I think the last time we looked at it, NCSL helped us out, I don't know, like
I know you did
50
staff.
years ago or something like that. But GovOps has a bill, and I wondered if they might talk with you so that you could help bring a broader perspective to that conversation.
I know you worked when they did legislative staff and professionalizing it. I know they worked a lot with NCSL.
Yeah, so we do staff and compensation studies, but as far as I know, they're specific to legislative staff. We do follow and have information around legislative pay and benefits. I don't know to what extent a study, they do studies around it, but I can certainly ask. And I can certainly provide perspective and information around from pay in other legislatures and, you know, how Vermont compares in that regard. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I should do is put you in touch with people on that committee. I
Sure.
used to be on it, and I know that it came up periodically, and one of the ways that take the temperature down on legislators talking about their own compensation was to say, could we get broader data so we know how we're treating ourselves in Vermont compared to other legislatures?
Yeah, absolutely.
Once again, New Hampshire's next door.
Well, I'm not moving there, still.
Yeah, but New York is next door.
They're full-time. So what does New Hampshire meet?
Like $200 every biennium or something.
Something like that, and, but they only meet for like a week or,
It's the largest legislative body after Congress.
yeah, but they don't meet very often.
400 House members and Senate.
And we had one of the members went to Taiwan with us, and he thought that it was a perfectly good system to only get paid $200, because only people who had succeeded enough to be able to afford to do that should go. Vermont was quiet.
Just a thought, I'm a new chair and not to get too specific, we're doing a major housing bill. We're gonna have the former speaker of the Maine legislature come in to talk to us. And we're gonna have the daughter of the author of Color of Law come in. I didn't know, maybe I missed this, if there's like a speakers bureau where you can say, you know, you like authors or former leaders of other legislatures, and the topics they might, I mean, it's a little easier in the informal way, but we have the daughter of the author coming, you know, at some point it might be nice to list of authors of like opioid books and housing books, you know, things that where we want to add some broader academic thinking to our work.
Zoom has opened up a whole new world where you don't have to fly someone here. And Coyle, I don't know that they've gotten here yet. They ended up on Zoom because their plane was grounded. Well, I assume it was somewhere in the Midwest where everything got grounded. And there were websites I couldn't get to that were down. Yeah, last night. Everything was down with the ice.
Yeah.
So
I actually got here late last night. I left Denver, well, I was supposed to leave Denver at 7:45, but it was too cold for the plane engines to start, which I didn't know was the thing. They couldn't get them to like spin. So they have machines that like do it manually, but it took like 2.5 hours to get it up and running.
then you gotta get the ice, right?
Yeah. And then I stopped in Chicago, so yeah.
You better find the southern route.
Yeah, I'll have to go through like next year.
Yeah, because if you do the right way, New York hasn't had any snow yet. But yeah, and if you can leave Friday and Saturday, Vermont has a dangerous cold warning out. I think the high on Saturday is 8.
Yeah.
And it's going to be 38 on Sunday. So something exciting is going to happen.
The wind chill though,
Yeah.
on Friday night, it's 30 to 45 below zero.
Yeah.
My flight's Friday morning, so I think I'll probably be most of it. But yeah, I think a speakers bureau, you're right, we don't have like a formal one right now. We do like, would kind of say have like an informal, especially when it comes to former like legislative leaders or folks who might have some expertise in different areas, but the academic and kind of author route is definitely interesting. And we could, I'll speak to probably our communications folks about.
Maybe by the time we're finished, we'll be able to help with childcare.
Yeah.
It's a major work this year. And after you, we are going to start hearing about ways we can pay for it, because that's the one thing that isn't in the bill.
Sure, so, you know,
So it will be coming here.
it's easy.
So anyway, yeah, we've got some major initiatives like that going, and
Housing, it sounds like another
Housing is a big
big issue.
issue. And that other states, because I was listening to the color of law, and other than the blatant, discrimination that was in there, I would say they have the same housing shortage coming out, and how did they build their way out of that? Between the Depression and World War II, nothing got built, and then you had the baby boom coming in, and you can learn from other places.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we're not the only ones with the childcare crisis.
Yes, that's definitely an issue. I think that a lot of states are struggling with.
Yeah. And perhaps if we share, which is your idea, share our experience and ideas, we can help each other out.
I think our agenda for Indianapolis should be going online, at least a loose agenda soon, and I'm sure that, I know that those issues will probably be addressed in there, so. Okay.
I don't know if you can speak to this, but since you do circulate a lot more than I do, maybe all of us here, are you hearing the same, pretty much wherever you go, the same concerns about inadequate workforce for whatever programs are being talked about?
When you say inadequate, do you mean a shortage or?
Shortage
Okay,
of
yes.
workers across the board. Like, if you go to any place where you don't hear that as a concern.
That is absolutely, I think, a concern everywhere, both, I think, within state government and more broadly, that there's definitely a lot of workforce issues out there, so.
Yeah, we know we can set up the best childcare program possible, but we don't have the infrastructure to support it right now, personnel or building.
Yeah.
We'll probably find the buildings, but the personnel's gonna take some time.
And I know, we did a lot of work in how states have been spending the federal funds and tracking a lot of that. And another thing we're hearing is that funds are getting appropriated, but that executive branch agencies don't necessarily have the people to actually, get the money where it's intended. And that's been an issue, I think.
That was interesting. I did the fiscal forum in DC back in September, maybe. And Vermont had it, because this was a grant, the Joint Fiscal Committee had to approve all grants. I chaired it that year. It was a fun year. Usually we do nothing, we move a few dollars around to approve a few things. But we actually got all the money committed. Most of it went through the regular budgetary process. And most of it, I would say over 99%, is in one-time funding. Other states, was it one of the Dakotas, the executive has full authority, and the legislature could say what they want, but he did what he wanted with it, and it didn't matter what they thought. And we really had a lot of power over those funds that other states did not have.
Yeah.
I think we're the better for it.
Well, as a group who works to strengthen state legislatures, we like to see the legislative input for sure.
It was interesting negotiations, since we couldn't say how the money should be spent, just we would approve it or not approve it. There were a lot of phone calls that went on to get things so that it could get approved. The legislature very definitely had probably as much control over that money as in any state. So we set up a system where everybody was informed of what the proposals were. And I think the feedback was through the committee chairs, but there was a feedback like you could do. Spending money.
You view the entire nation through the lens of the various state legislatures. You hear a lot of commentary about the mood in the land, hostility and hatred, and a kind of breakdown of the social contract. What are you seeing? And that may be too
No big deal.
philosophical. What's that?
It just, that was like, casually thrown out and I'm excited to hear the answer.
About hatred.
Yeah, but from your perspective.
I mean, are you hearing people with states with difficulties of order, just political disorder, politics turning to violence and that kind of thing?
So I will start by saying that I am not an expert in that area. It's definitely not kind of my area of expertise. I began this kind of our legislative strengthening sort of wheelhouse that they do kind of, talk about issues around stability and that type of thing in politics. I think we really try to highlight kind of the positive bipartisan aspects that we're seeing. I do think, there are certainly times when it seems like it's gotten more polarized. And I think, some states may be having some issues around building coalitions in the way that they maybe caucusing.
I didn't mean to throw you a curve. It occurred to me the kinds of inquiries that you might have been getting inquiries
We
about.
certainly get questions about that, but they're directed to my colleague Natalie, who you may know. I think she was here doing a training earlier this year too. Yeah, and I'd be happy to have her kind of give you a call and she can talk with you a little bit more.
Relatedly, I'd be curious, I heard recently in some security presentations, Vermont is one of 6 states that does not screen at the doors regarding for guns, firearms, and so on. I'm curious if the NCSL has an official position, recommendation, or thoughts on Vermont not currently doing that in any standard way.
We typically don't take a position on those types of issues, but we can certainly get you some information on when and how other states screen, if that would be helpful.
The one step we may be taking is cameras in this room. I gather the chair has to sign off. Now, these security cameras, I will seek the advice of the committee before I do anything. That is a big step for Vermont. The screening has been brought up by every security person we've had come through here, and we're just not ready to go there yet. But we haven't had an incident yet.
What's sad to say is I feel like it's gonna take an incident for us to want to go there. So that's why I think it's worth having a conversation now.
And we're happy to help have that conversation for sure. We just typically,
We facilitate, you don't tell us what we should do.
exactly. There's no one way to do something. There are 50 different ways or 100 different ways to do most things, so.
Okay, any other questions? Anything else you think we should know?
Oh, yes, one thing I did want to mention, we relaunched our website a couple of weeks ago, and we're still kind of in the process of moving information over to that new platform. So if you go to our website and you don't see something, or you search for something and nothing comes up, please reach out. I'm sure we have it. It just might not have been moved over yet. So please just reach out if there's something that you don't find on our website. So, or if you have any trouble navigating the new kind of layout or anything like that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
For your support of NCSL. We really appreciate it.
You'll enjoy getting back to Colorado.
It's not any warmer there right now.
Might be sunnier there.
Yes.
We have had an unusually cold and cloudy winter, but typically, yes, it's a lot sunny. So I'm hoping it warms up soon.
Yeah, my brother lived there. Snow on the ground here. He says it snows, but it evaporates the next day, and it's 60 in downtown and skiing on the mountains. And
That is usually how it is. This year, it's definitely been a little.
well, this
Little
week
dreary
we
here.
used to have a week below 10, so if we only have 2 days, that will be good. I hate it. So I never got about it.
Anywhere where it never got above freezing.
Yeah, oh, yeah. The only one happy is my rhododendron is how I tell the temperature. The tighter the leaves are curly. Yeah.
And a couple of winners.
And I did send you an email if you'd like to meet separately. That's minority leader, please feel free.
Five, sometimes it's one, no,
Thank you all.
Thank you.
never gets above zero. Remember, really steady
Okay,
cold,
we have,
not late.
where are we? We have, oh, not to 3:15.
Was that because they're busy?
Yeah, we were. Couldn't come in here, yeah, we're having a lot of that. I thought I had the tax commissioner at 1:30 today, but that didn't work out.
Sure that
Talk
I get
about
home after
salt.
dark. I want to ensure that I get home after dark.
Well, I'm not, I've got a 6:15 meeting in Worcester, so I don't know why you should get home. But I've got a 4:30, but. Okay, I guess we're up to 3:15.
Really cold here.
It's always.
Yeah, it is.
Door keeps opening, and that's all the cool air.
Okay, usually
It
the
also
door
feels
is
like
shut.
they're like blowing up.
Transportation, every time they.
Those things blow, when the air blows, it just feels colder. I think it's probably blowing at 70 degrees, but the fact that it's
Oh, I
blowing,
see, okay.
I always had a shawl in here.